What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pub Sports Radio and welcome to the DFS Picks and Prediction Show. Be sure to tune in every Wednesday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, where me, Weezy, MMA Monk, and now Gordo break down the upcoming card from a DFS perspective and give our predictions on the fights as well. Also, be sure to leave a like, subscribe here to Pub Sports Radio so not miss out on all the other content throughout the week. As always, we're going to go through our fight to target, our fight to fade, our fighter to fade, favorite dog, favorite GPP play, favorite cash play, favorite value play, our favorite dart throw. We'll give our lineups for this week. We'll talk about how we did 2 weeks ago. We'll give our quick picks and answer any questions you guys have. So looking forward to the show. We have a 14-fight card with a lot of weird fights, a lot of good fights. I think it's a really good card. Weezy, how you feeling about this card this week?
Like the card, like it for gambling, like it for Draftkings. 14 fights gives us a lot of variety and a lot of different ways to play it. So this is going to be a good one. We got 12 straight weeks of UFC action coming up, guys. So let's strap it down. Let's get into it, man. Let's make some money.
Let's do it. Gordo, how you doing? You looking forward to the card?
Oh, I am looking forward to it indeed. It was a nice week off. I got the chance to sit back and enjoy, but I'm ready to go. And I feel like it's a decent one to get us back into it. I know we got that big one next week, but this one should be fun. Lacking name value, but I think there's a lot of good options we're able to exploit, and I'm ready for it.
Yep, sounds good. And last but not least, we have Monk. Monk, how you feeling this week?
Pretty good, guys. What is up? Glad to see your faces again after a much-needed week off, like Gordo said. Ready to jump back into it. We got a bunch of fights that could finish super early this week. Some question marks about records. It is a dramatic week, so do not miss a second.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that record stuff and the Menifield fight, which is going to be a good fight there. But yeah, before we get started, guys, if you can leave a like, subscribe to the channel, it is always appreciated. Shout out to Brandon in the chat. First one here saying, let's go. I agree. We got Justin with some tornadoes. Looks like a shark and a helicopter and some smoke as well. Shout out to Justin. And then Justin also saying Damon Jackson fight week, and that it is. They do not have the salaries out for Damon Jackson. I'm not sure why, but it looks like they're going to be putting him probably around $9,500, and then Argueta at that $6,700 price tag. But hopefully they get that in soon. I want to start building some lineups. But we will start, as always, guys, with the fight to target, and I'll kick this one off. So my favorite fight to target is going to be the Lonza Minifield Askar Mozharov fight. Looks like the fight doesn't get the decision on BetOnline. Last time I checked is -600. I see it's at -750 on DraftKings Sportsbook. And, last week when I researched this fight, I saw the under 1.5 was priced at like -225. I thought it was, mispriced. I thought it was a mistake. But after watching the fight of Mozharov and watching his career, it is most definitely not a mistake. This guy is the definition of kill or be killed. Only one of his fights, and the guy's like 32 fights, only one of them has seen the third round. He's been to the second round only 3 times. This guy has 11 finish losses, all 11 of them, or 10 of 11, coming in the first round. One came in mid-second. So, yeah, I think Mozharov is very live to finish Menifield in the first 20 to 30 seconds. But if Menifield hits him once, or if he gets him down, I think Menifield will finish the fight shortly after. So I think somebody gets finished here. I think somebody gets finished, honestly, under 1/2 of a round. So that's my favorite fight to target. Weezy, what's your favorite fight to target for this week?
Yeah, I'm going to go in a different direction and talk about Johnny Munoz Jr. versus Tony Gravely. Both of these guys score insane amounts of DraftKings points per minute. Gravely, over a huge sample size, too. He's checking in an insane 5.61 DraftKings points per minute raw. That's not including wins. So this guy is a wrestling god. He's averaging just under 7 takedowns per 15 minutes. And Munoz has a good chance to get a submission, and you can never go wrong rostering a fighter with the archetype of Gravely. Both of these guys, are grapplers first. Oh, and Munoz, by the way, scoring 3.78 DraftKings points a minute. So at the Gravely level of 5.61, that would be 114 DraftKings points in a decision win. That's how he's scoring on the average, so he's scored better than 5.61 points a minute in some of his fights. So this is a really good fight that has a lot of grappling upside. And I think that these guys are really well matched. I think you'll see both of them getting takedowns, both of them getting reversals, accruing a ton of control time. And I think that Munoz is very live for a submission. So I think it's a great fight overall to target.
Yep, sounds good. And the price tags are very intriguing as well. Gravely 8,400, Munoz 7,800. I think the winner does score very well right there with you. Gordo, what is your favorite fight to target for this week?
Yeah, I mean, I took down handwritten notes for every single one of these criteria we're hitting, and I just left this one blank because we all know that Menifield Mozharov is going to be that highest owned fight, and for very good reason. I mean, you hit all those points; those unders are so live, and that I don't even know if that's his real name anymore. But Mozharov and his neck tattoos can't really face much resistance, so I feel like that's really how you have to go. And of course, they're going to be high owned on either side, but they're going to live up to that price tag, and I feel like anything that happens in there, I can't see it going any other way than a first round banger. So hopefully I didn't jinx it there. Hopefully the fight actually happens. I did write down that same thing. That Gravely versus Munoz fight was also my second fight to target just because their win conditions score well, right? Grave is going to wrestle his way to decision. You talked about how many points he scores. I mean, he's a very good DraftKings player in himself. And Munoz is live for that submission, like you mentioned. So I'm not going to go too on about it, but I'm with you guys on those two.
There you go. You like those two as well. Monk, you like those two or anything else you like?
I do. I'll pivot off of the obvious one that we just gave with Askar, catch me if you can, Mozharov there. But I'm going to go Damon Jackson, Daniel Argueta. Here's why. Damon Jackson is my absolute favorite salary. Maybe if he comes in at 9,500, there's no reason he should be 93 at this point. The odds are, he's just under Blanchfield. So 95 would be right in line. So I'm kind of banking on that. He's made the optimal 2 out of 2 fights. Or his last 2 fights, I should say, 3.31 points a minute. I just think that he's going to come out and, absolutely demolish Argueta here. 9,500, like I was alluding to, is the best salary you can play as far as optimal percentages. In fact, if you just bear with me 1 second, I will give you the numbers here. It's been used 22 times. It's made the optimal 12 times for a straight up percentage of 54.55. No other salary is even close to that, within 15 points of that. It has an 81% win rate and 66% optimal in its wins. For a salary that expensive, it's absolutely incredible. So if you know me, I'm going to be hammering that line. Plus the stats back it up. You get a huge takedown upside from Jackson, a big possible submission upside. We don't know much about Argueta. He is undefeated. He only has 8 pro fights. Meanwhile, Jackson has 25 pro fights, and 7 of them are in the UFC. So I'm just going to be fading the inexperience of Argueta here. But if something does happen and Jackson loses the fight at 6,700, Argueta is almost guaranteed to make the optimal lineup, scoring 70 to 80 points. So for that reason, I will be focusing on this fight as a whole as one to target.
Sounds good. I like it. Yeah, I'm right there with you, Damon Jackson. Probably my favorite play on the entire slate. Let's move on to the fight to fade. I'll kick this one off. I think it's pretty obvious. Karolina Kowalkiewicz going against Felice Herrig. Worst inside the distance line on the entire slate at plus 240 for the fight. Doesn't get the decision. I will not be betting this fight. I will not be playing this fight in DFS. And honestly, I will not be watching this fight. So a pretty easy fade for me. Just don't really see a reason to play either fighter here. Weezy, what is your fight to fade for this week?
Yeah, I wrote that one down too. I mean, it's just a fade in every possible way. I said on Just the Tip last night that if I catch anyone betting this fight, then I'm going to beat you with a sack of oranges until I juice them. And then I'm going to drink the orange juice in front of you while you sit there on the ground screaming in pain, internally bleeding. But for DraftKings, it's just a little bit different. There's nothing wrong with if you're multi-entering, owning this fight, owning both sides of it. Anything can happen here. Kowalkiewicz looks like she has both feet out the door. Herrig is coming off of 2 serious knee surgeries and is going to have a ton of ring rust. So from a betting perspective, it's a complete stay away in my opinion. But from a DraftKings perspective, I'm going to be staying away from it in my cash lineups because I have no idea who's going to win this fight, nor do I care. But for GPPs, you want to have this one in there because I think it's going to be very low owned. And I think that whoever wins actually will probably have a decent chance of winning inside the distance because they're both not good at this point. And it's hard to know where either of them, what their motivation is at this point in their career. So I'm staying away from that fight, especially in cash. I am not betting it. I promise you that. And for GPPs, I don't hate if you get in there and try to be just a little bit above what the rest of the field is owning these ladies at so that you can get a little bit different.
Yeah, maybe they're both so bad it just randomly finishes or somebody randomly quit. I mean, it could be on the table for sure in this fight. Yeah. Anything can happen. Like Penne finished Karolina. Wasn't that the first round or the second round last fight? I think first, right?
Yeah, and I mean, Penne was definitely optimal that week.
Oh, yeah.
And she was super low owned, So, I mean, anything can happen. It's a GPP fight for sure, but cash, I just can't see owning either of these ladies in a cash lineup.
100%. Gordo, what fight are you fading for this week?
You know what? I'm trying my best not to say the same thing as you guys and be boring, but I got one thing written down for this, and it just says it's a shit show. That's all it is. And Weezy, you can keep those oranges away from me because there's no way I'm putting my hard-earned money on this. If I do want to go out there and say a fight to fade, I think in terms of GPP, you're completely correct. It will be low-owned, and I do see that. One I'm kind of staying away from, which is, I can't believe I'm saying this because the stats don't agree with me, but I'm staying away from the Volkov Rozenstruik fight, the main event, a bit more than I think I should be. But it's just because I have this feeling it's going to turn into another standing kickboxing affair that people stare at each other. I know Rozenstruik's posting videos of him grappling, but if he does that, it might be to his own demise. But I can't see this one, like, especially with Volkov sitting at a similar price tag of like Menifield and Gravely. I can't see him putting up as many points, and he will accrue that ownership because it's a heavyweight main event, right? So I feel like in those GPP, I'm going to get different. I'm going to stay away from it. However, of course, the obvious fight to fade is going to be that Karolina versus Herrig fight. I just can't put my money on it.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I think the main event is a sneaky fade there. It's going to be very high owned, and I can see the same thing. Captain saying that they just announced Hannah Cifers is back in the UFC. I just saw that. So we have some more high-level women's MMA to look forward to September 10th. Shout out to Hannah Cifers. Monk, what fight are you fading for this week?
Shout out to Hannah Cifers. Sometimes you just got to battle your way out of the trenches to get back up to the top of the level here. No, I'm just kidding. Michael Trizano, Lucas Almeida is what I'm going to be fading, just because I don't want to give the obvious, or echo rather. I don't want to echo what you guys already said because you guys did a great job, but I'll give you Trizano 9,100. I feel like this guy's completely unplayable, long story short, at that price. 2.21 points a minute, at least in GPPs. If you think he's going to win in cash, then whatever. I just think there's a ton of other options around that price tag that I would love to have. 2.21 points a minute, 63.46 when he wins. This is over 3 UFC wins. He's given up 103.79 when he loses, average value of just 6.4x. He's also $1,640 over his average salary. So there's nothing I like about that. Lucas Almeida, DWCS fade basically is in action here. Trizano is a UFC vet, five UFC fights, which these days probably does make you a vet percentage wise. But Almeida, in his UFC or Dana White Contender Series, 2.9 points a minute. He did lose that, gave up only 87. So that, did not give up a ton of points. So I don't know what Trizano is going to be doing here to get more than 60 to 70 points. I don't like this side of the fight. I don't like either one of these guys for DraftKings. If I'm going to be on either one for GPPs, it'll probably be Almeida just for the completely unexpected side of things. But like I said, I'm going to have a hard time playing Trizano. So give me this as a fight to fade.
Yep, I'm going to agree with you, and it's a nice transition into our next section, the fighter to fade, and I'm going with Mike Trizano as well, 9,100. And the guy's not a finisher. I believe he's like a 44% finish rate, no finishes in the UFC. I don't really see him finishing Almeida as well. I don't really see him wrestling as well. If he's going to win, I kind of see it being like a low-paced back and forth fight. And honestly, I'm not even that confident he wins the fight. If anything, I'm playing Almeida down there at 7,100. So I just don't really see any reason at all to play Trizano at this price tag, 9,100, just way too much for me. Weezy, what fight are you fading for this week?
Yeah, it was Trizano and nobody else, really. I think you can fade if you think that Ige is going to get blanketed. I think you can fade Argueta. I think you can fade JJ Aldrich because they all might get blanketed by their opponent. And even in a decision, they might only score 10 or 15 points. But, at 9,100, it's almost impossible to own Michael Trizano. 2.21 DraftKings points a minute, like Monk said. So that's 63 points in a decision win, and you're paying 9,100 for him. That could never be optimal. So it's a really hard to get to Trizano's salary, especially with the names that are around him. So he's the clearest fade but I also think you can fade some of those lower salary fighters that you really don't think have a chance. So but I'd like to get different and give you something besides Trizano, but it's the easiest one to fade.
Yep, totally agree. Gordo, what about you? What are you liking?
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. It's the obvious answer here, and I have to go along with it too. Sorry, I'm just confused. I never thought Hannah Cifers would be stealing the show, but that got me off guard. But no, I think that Trizano's the right choice here. He's not a guy to finish, and like I hear you guys saying this, and I agree with every single point. You guys are matched up with everything. 44% finish rate, averaging like 60 points in a win. The one thing now I'm getting at though is if he's going to be so high loaned, because I only have 2 fighters I'm fading who are favorites, and that's Herrig and Trizano, really, because everybody's live up top. But I do think that if Trizano's going to be so low owned, it's not like he can't put up a decent floor here as well. And if there's going to be a wild night, who knows? But no, you're right. I'm fading Trizano. Unfortunately, just joining you guys in the pack. That's 3 for 3. We're agreeing, which is never good, but I will join you guys on Mike Trizano.
You're right. It's never good. Now Trizano's going to go out there and get a first-round knockout somehow, but probably not. Monk, what fight are you fading for this week?
I already told you why I hate Michael Trizano for DraftKings, so I'll pivot off that and give you Nicholas Stoltz, who I didn't even know was still in the UFC. 0-2, scores 1.4 points a minute, allows 4.5 back at him. Gave up 96 on average when he loses. Average value of 1.64 so far. Just fantastic. And for that value, you only have to pay up $800 from his average salary. So, I mean, hey, what are we doing here? Fade Nicholas Stoltz. Benoit Saint-Denis is the one that, I won't even talk about it. We all know who he is. We all know what happened in the last fight. But he did score a decent amount of points, 2.86 a minute when he wasn't getting his face absolutely pummeled. 8,500 though. I like that salary. If I'm going to pick a side, I'm picking the Saint-Denis side. I think Nicholas Stoltz here probably, if he loses this, he's absolutely cut from the UFC. He's just been completely unimpressive. 1.4 points a minute is the lowest on the entire card. Get him out of my lineups. Fading Nicholas Stoltz here.
Yeah, I think the loser probably does get a cut in that fight. David's saying the Volkov fade, and yeah, I don't hate fade in the main event in tournaments. We'll move on, though, to our favorite dog. I'll kick this one off, and yeah, there's a lot of dogs that kind of stick out. I guess I'll go with Alex De Silva at 7,400. I think this is a very close fight, and I actually like a lot of what I see from De Silva. He's younger and he has more experience. I think he's like 10 more fights than Joe Selecki. He's going to be clearly the better striker. He has good offensive wrestling, solid BJJ. He's very well-rounded. I guess the problem I don't like with De Silva is going to be the cardio. He does slow down as the fight goes on. I have a good feeling he wins that first round, but he's taken almost 2 years off. Maybe he comes in here with some improvements. If he does, and if he improves that cardio, I think he's very, very liable to not only win the fight, but get takedowns, get control time. Joe Selecki, he's very content to just lay on his back at times. So, yeah, although a couple dogs really stick out, a couple obvious ones, I think De Silva is one that, especially at 7,400, somebody that really sticks out. So give me De Silva at that price tag. Weezy, what dog you like for this week?
I've got Johnny Munoz Jr. on here. There's quite a few that I do like this. I mean, I actually think that Stoltz is kind of live here because I think he's going to be low owned, and I think that Saint-Denis is not good at all. But with Munoz Jr., the kid's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is just really legit. And Gravely's been subbed in 5 of his 7 career losses. I get why Tony's the favorite here. He's fought the better brand of competition. He's way more experienced, a very busy fighter. But Munoz has a very comparable skill set to Gravely. And Munoz is going to wrestle here just like Gravely's going to wrestle. And I think that if Gravely takes him down, you see how Munoz rolls for his arm bars and his leg locks. The guy is very, very dangerous, very unorthodox. And we've seen Gravely get submitted over and over and over again. He did show some nice submission defense against Simon Oliveira, got out about 3 guillotines, which was Simon's move. But I think Munoz is a little bit better than Simon Oliveira and a lot more dangerous with his submissions. So I think it's going to be a great scrap. And I think even in a loss, Munoz can pile up a ton of points in this one. So I do like him here.
Yep, another guy I do like as well. Gordo, who's your favorite dog for this week?
I got to start sending you guys my notes beforehand so it makes sure that I'm not piggybacking off you guys. But I'm with you. Johnny Munoz, I think his path to victory scores very, very well. That submission is what he's going to do or what he's going to look for. I don't think he wins the minutes, but that win criteria scores very, very well. What I also like here is he does have that floor. Gravely's not a guy to go out there and get too many finishes. I do think that Munoz can survive. And if you are holding a Gravely ticket, you're sweating these out because every time it reaches the mat, you're worried something's going to happen. Gravely's been submitted 5 times. I do think that Munoz is going to be very live to get that because it's his path to victory, and it's something that Gravely has been working on, but has been caught in before. So give me Munoz. If I want to get a bit different, I do think that, well, fair warning, I'm going to pick Zaga Zamagulis here, and I know all the Twitter fanboys are going to come after me for Molina, but I do think that Zamagulis's path to victory scores very well as well, getting those takedowns. I don't know if he's able to control him for a long period of time, but you're giving Molina a bigger step in competition. I know he's a low salary, and I know that when the pressure goes on, the durability and the cardio edge is going to go to Molina, but path to victory for Zaga scores very well as well. So I'm going to take him as my dog to be a bit different.
Nice, sounds good. And yeah, Zumagula is probably going to have little to no ownership with, like you said, the hype on Molina. Monk, who are you liking this week as a dog?
Well, I also had Munoz on my list, but don't go crazy here. I'm going to give you JJ Aldrich, actually, going against Erin Blanchfield. This is mostly just because she's $6,600. For some reason, they made Blanchfield $9,600 this week, which is an unplayable salary. If you know me, you know why, and I won't get into it on this show. But yeah, stay away from that one. $6,600, man. You're playing JJ Aldrich. Here's what you're going to get. You're probably going to get a loss, but you're probably going to get a decision loss. Probability sake, we're going to go to decision here. 2.45 points a minute, 70 per win. When she does, lose, she averages 22.35 points, so not anything special. But, you're getting possibly a guaranteed 20 to 30 points here on a cash game, or which is decent. But for 6,600, you're just opening the doors to be able to play whoever you want. You can go up and get Evloev. You can go get Damon Jackson. You can get Menifield if you're onto that. You can get Molina if you're onto that, and pick 3 of those, and you still have plenty of salary to go. So I like JJ Aldrich because I think she's kind of going to hang in there for 15 minutes. If she gets you a win, I mean, that's going to be optimal lineup. No matter what she scores, basically at 6,600. But I do think she's going to lose, get you that 20 to 30 points, help you out a bit in cash. She's not going to give you a 0 like Parker Porter. She's not going to give you a 0.4 like Chase Sherman. She's going to give you some points here. So give me Aldrich as one of my favorite dogs this week.
Yeah, it makes sense to me, especially from a cash game perspective. Let's go to our favorite GPP play here. I'll kick this one off. We talked about the fight a little bit. It's going to be Lonza Minifield, 8,700. This is a guy that I think he's finished like all but 1 or 2 of his wins inside the very first round. We talked about it earlier. Mozharov, he now has 11 losses, and 10 of the 11 coming in the first round. Like half are submission, half are knockout. I've seen this guy tap to strikes. This guy is a good hammer, it looks like, but like one of the worst nails you ever see. I think if Menifield survives the first 10 seconds, honestly, he turns it around and finishes Mozharov, whether it's a submission, ground and pound victory, just knocks him out on the feet in general. But Menifield 8,700. I think if he wins, it's in the first round. He puts up a huge score. So I do like him for tournaments this week. Weezy, who is your favorite tournament play this week?
I'm going to go in a different direction and talk about Rinat Fakhretdinov. I like Rinat here. He can wrestle. And he has power in his hands. And Mihalidis has some of the worst cardio I've ever seen. And both of these guys are dropping down to 170. So I think it's a great fight to target as a whole. We don't really know if this guy Fakhretdinov is a fraud or not. It does appear that his record is legitimate, at least. But the guys that he's beating are cans. He's got 2 wins over UFC veterans in Alberto Uda and Eric Spicely. But these guys, they were in and out of the UFC pretty much, other than Spicely's win over Thiago Santos. He really did nothing. And this guy, Fakhretdinov, is really well-rounded. And I just think that, when you watch any Mihalidis fight, he's huffing and puffing into the second round. And if you really want to laugh, watch his Menifield fight and Fight Nights Global. In the third round, he can barely get off the stool. And he just quits in the middle of the third round. And the guy on top of him is also done for. But because he's in the top position, the referee just stops the fight from punches that are looking like this. It was bad. So bad conditioning. I fade those fighters in DraftKings. I think Rinat is well-rounded enough. And he is unknown enough that you can get some leverage there at him, 9,200. And I think that he finishes this fight probably in the second round.
Sounds good. And like you said, his record's not the best, but at least he's not fighting a bag of wangs like Mozharov. He's actually fighting better competition than Mozharov for sure, and legitimate, like you said. So I do like that. Gordo, who is your favorite GPP play this week?
Well, Adding on to Fakardinov a bit, I will get to someone else, but I just want to say I think that a lot of people are going to revolve to the Evloevs, to the Blanchfields, to the Jacksons, that Fakardinov's going to go really unknown and really low ownership. And I do think he has the highest finishing potential, maybe other than Jackson, of the people who are on the salary right now. So I do like him in GP as well, though. But I will talk about Oday Osborne. I know he's getting a lot of love on the money line, but I think that people are evolving to other people in higher salaries that he's not being talked about as much this week. And I do think his finishing potential is pretty live. I know that Adeshev, where he has very limited experience, his experience comes in kickboxing form. And one thing that Oday Osborne does have is he does have the clearly superior ground game here. So if he's able to go out there and shoot takedowns, I know he shot 7 last time. I do think that first round finish is not off the table because Adeshev really struggles down there. Even on the feet, though, that range is something you really like. I just like the ceiling on Oday Osborne. He's a potent finisher. He's got a lot of first round finishes, and he scores very well in doing so. And hopefully, with all the people going up to the ownership of the higher expensive fighters who will most likely go to decision, his first round finish capabilities may be going a bit overlooked.
Yeah, for sure. I think he's definitely going under the radar from a DFS perspective. Monk, who are you liking for a GPP play this week?
I already talked about Damon Jackson pretty heavily. He's my absolute favorite play. If he comes in at $9,500, he will be my number one exposed player this week. So I'll kind of pivot to Movsar Evloev going against Dan Ige. I mean, 9,400 is quite the price to pay for a guy, but he's 5-0 in the UFC, 15-0 professionally. He's only $300 over his average. His average value is 10.78, the number one value on the entire card, and this is over 5 UFC fights. You know how difficult that is to do. 4.54 points per minute. Oh, and by the way, he's getting all these points and value while getting decision wins. All 5 of his wins have been decisions, and he's scoring just under 100 points per win. If he goes anywhere over that, I think he's got a decent shot at being optimal. 9,400 is not as bad as you might think. It's not as good as the 9,500 salary, but it's also not terrible. It's got almost an 80% win rate. Evloev personally has scored over 100 points in 2 of his 5 wins and just under 100 in 3 of his 5 wins. I absolutely love that. I don't think Dan Ige is the guy that's going to give Evloev his first L here. I think this probably does go to decision. He just beat Hakeem Dawodu, Movsar did, scored 138 points in that decision win. He's put up 110 against Sungwoo Choi, so he's definitely scoring well in decisions. If he happens to get a finish, that's just bonus points right there. Then his optimal rate goes up 20-30%. But this salary is always underplayed as far as what it performs as. So I'm going to be looking to be 10 to 15% over the ownership on Movsar Evloev.
Sounds good. I like it. Mushroom saying smash the like button. I agree, Mushroom. Appreciate that. If you guys have not yet, please hit the like button. It is always appreciated. Let us move on to our favorite cash play. I'll kick this one off. And yeah, it's going to be Damon Jackson for me, 9,500. I mean, I take a look at the matchup, and I actually like Daniel Argueta. I think he's a very good fighter, but this is a fight where he's coming in on short notice. He's coming up a weight class, and I think Damon Jackson is better literally everywhere. I think he's the much better grappler. I think he's the much better striker. I've seen, not the best striking for Argueta with Jackson. He's not the best striker, but at least he's serviceable. The much better cardio. He puts on a pace that most fighters cannot keep up. And I really struggle to see Daniel Argueta just go out there and either A, knock him out because I don't think he's the best striking, or B, just go out there and consistently take down and hold Jackson for 15 minutes, which I think is his path to victory, which I still think is all that likely. So I like Damon Jackson. I think he has a big ceiling, good floor. And I really like him to win this week. Weezy, what do you like him for a cash play this week?
Alonzo Minifield. I mean, for obvious reasons here, this guy Mozharov is a fraud, a quitter, and a liar with a broke-ass neck tattoo. Zoe's going to go in there, shave some ass on Saturday. Believe that. It's bad. I mean, 11 losses, all of them inside the distance for Mozharov against nobody that you've ever heard of. So this guy Menifield, I mean, is going to be the strongest guy, the biggest guy, the best grappler probably that he's ever faced in his entire career. And Menifield's not even a very good grappler, but I know he's better than the bag of wangs that this guy's been fighting already. So yeah, it's got to be Menifield, and the price is definitely right.
Sounds good to me. Gordo, who you liking for cash this week?
I'm going to go to Evloev. I know Monk talked about him pretty well, but I do think he's going to be my cash play this week. 9.4K. The reason I'm taking him over Blanchfield is just I do think that cheapness and salary is going to go really well because he still scores well in decisions, like you mentioned. I mean, he's averaging more than 10x just out of all of his fights already, and this guy's good. I mean, Korean Zombie kind of laid the blueprint for him, and I do think Evloev is able to control him just as well down there. I love Ige, and I give him all the credit in the world, but he's got a tough matchup ahead, right? Evloev is very, very talented, great takedown capabilities, and even on the feet, I mean, he's averaging like 4.32 strikes per minute. I mean, the guy's got volume. The guy scores well in DraftKings, and it's going to be tough for me to see Ige winning this fight here. I see a little bit of love for people in Ige, but I just don't see it. I see Evloev putting up, I'm going to say at least 100, which is pretty insane for a guy who's a decision fighter, but he's my cash play this week, and I'm not thinking too much about it.
Sounds good. I'm right there with you. Monk, what do you like for cash this week?
I am going to get a little bit, I don't think anybody said, this one's probably going to go under the radar just because of who's around him. Joe Selecki at 8,800 going against Alex De Silva. This De Silva cat has been on the shelf for over a year and a half. Gives up almost, let's see, or actually Joe Selecki scores rather 4.1 points a minute. That's the third best number on the card. 100 per win, almost just right under that. Almost a 10x on his value, 9.98 so far into his 4 fights into the UFC. He's only $25 more than his average salary. He is coming off that loss against Jared Gordon. Very close fight, split decision. If you just go, take out the round by round, just go on metrics. Computer Monk does think he won that fight, so pretty, by a decent margin there. I just don't know what to expect here from Alex De Silva, so I'm going to go with Joe Selecki. I don't think they're, I think rather that they're giving Selecki a guy that he can use as a rebound type fight. 8,800, with Menifield around, with some of the people at $9,000, Molina right above him pretty much. I really think Selecki's going to be under the radar. Decent little sneaky GPP maybe play, but also I think a very solid cash lineup play as well at 8,800. So you're not breaking the bank there. You can still get to some of the bigger guys. I like Joe Selecki for this play.
Yep, that is definitely a sneaky play there. Let us move on to the favorite value play. For me, I'll kick this one off. Yeah, not a ton really sticks out. I guess I'm going to play some Lucas Almeida at 7,100. This is a guy that I watched his Contender Series fight. He kind of went balls to the wall in that first round, and he landed a lot of hard shots. I think he's very live to win in the first round, and he does have a 100% finish rate. You're getting a guy with a 100% finish rate at 7,100. If he does win, it is probably inside the distance. I don't mind some shots on Lucas Almeida. And, you take a look at his opponent, Trizano. Like, Trizano's not blowing anybody out of the water. I think at the very least, it's going to be a very close and competitive fight. At the very least, it probably goes 3 rounds and it's competitive. So I don't hate some shots on Lucas Almeida, especially for that first round and that finish upside in general at 7,100. Weezy, who's your favorite value play for this week?
Same thing, Lucas Almeida. It sticks out like a sore thumb for me. First of all, his opponent is not a finisher, so you should get the full 15 minutes out of a fighter that's 7,100. Second of all, this guy hits like a truck. He's got a 100% finish rate. And the way that he was cracking Zellhuber, I really don't think that there's a lot of guys in the UFC that are taking those shots and staying standing. This guy hits really, really hard. And I don't even think he's really at a skill deficiency here to Trizano. I don't understand the line. I've got a 1-unit bet on the finish-only prop for Lucas Almeida here at plus 140. That makes no sense to me. I think it's a gift, but this guy is a finisher. And if you watch the tape on him, he's coming in there to take your head off. So I think that once he tires out, I think he's still going to be winning exchanges and moments here. I think he's a great bet. I think he's a great DraftKings play. I think he's a great way to set up to start your lineup with Lucas Almeida is going to let you get to Evloev, Fakhretdinov, to Menifield, to potentially Blanchfield and Damon Jackson. This is the guy that's going to open the key to getting those high-priced fighters in your lineup.
Sounds good. Glad we agree there. Gordo, who are you liking for some value this week?
Yeah, I love your thoughts on that one. When I filmed my own video today, it was the 2 cheapest guys I'm going for are Almeida, like you mentioned, and Zalgas down there. I talked about Zalgas a bit already, so I'm not going to spend too much time doing so. I just think that his win condition scores very well. Molina, where he does have that weaker takedown defense, he gets up really fast. And whereas sometimes that's not as good to be able to establish that takedown, it just leaves more opportunities for him to score takedown points, right? If Molina's going to keep going up, I'm hoping I can trust Zalgas to keep taking him down and scoring a lot of points in doing so, and at a very low ownership, because everybody and their mom is on Molina this weekend. I get it. Molina's a very nice and likable guy, but he's getting that step up in competition, and I don't see him finishing Zalgas early like Cop did at all. So at 7.2K, you are getting that value. I do think he has a decent path to victory here. But he's some value for me, but I do like what you guys said about Almeida.
Sounds good. I like it. Monk, who you liking for some value this week?
A little bit of value, I think, on the Poliana Botelho side of things at $8,000. She is an underdog salary to a DWCS fighter who only scored 1.66 points a minute and 81 in her win if you put DraftKings scoring on that DWCS fight. Karine Silva does have, 14, all 14, so 100% finish rate in her wins, 75% finish rate in her losses. I just think, obviously Botelho should be one of the best levels of competition that she's faced. But Poliana's scoring 2.8 points a minute, 100.82 points in her wins. This is over 3 UFC wins, guys. Gives up 3.09 points a minute. But it's $350 cheaper than her average salary. Has an average value of 7.14, which is the 9th highest on the card. So I think you're getting pretty decent numbers here on a fighter that I think has an okay chance to win this fight for sure. At $8,000. So very easy to get to. Going to give you some salary relief. She does score just under 0.7 points a minute in takedowns and control time. Meanwhile, Silva in her DWCS fight gave up, 2.64 points a minute in grappling points. So, not a good look there. That is a clear path to victory, according to that fight by Botelho. So just give me that side for the value here. She also has an 80% takedown defense. Spends 67% of her time fighting at distance. So she's very comfortable on the feet. I just like the numbers, the scoring upside here from just the $8,000 Poliana Botelho.
Makes sense. And I think that fight as a whole is a really good one to target, especially at those price tags as well.
So under-owned, I bet.
Oh, yeah. Let us go to the dart throw. I'll kick this one off. This is one I regularly struggled with. Not a ton sticks out. I'm just going to say the Felice Herrig, Karolina Kowalkiewicz fight as a whole. I feel like, nobody's going to play this fight, and why would you? But I just feel like something stupid's going to happen. Both these fighters have not won a fight in years. It's been a long time. Again, nobody's going to play it. I feel like, I don't know, either one of these fighters can lose and lose inside the distance as well. I'm going to take this as a dart throw, but yeah, like you said earlier, Weezy, like for cash, absolutely not. But for tournaments, like nobody's going to play it. Might as well have a couple sprinkles of each side there. Weezy, what do you like of our dart throw this week?
Yeah, my dart throw is Monk took the words out of my mouth. Poliana Botelho, and we hadn't talked about the Karine Silva Botelho fight up until Monk mentioned Botelho. This is a great fight to target. It was going to be my fight to target actually, because Karine Silva has, I think it's 18 professional fights, and 17 of them have finished inside the distance, or maybe it's
that's right. I think that's right.
Yeah, killer be killed fighter. And poor gas tank. When you saw her get that guillotine over Yan Kuihi, she was gassed. If she didn't get that guillotine, it was literally going to be over about a minute after that. She was completely gassed out. So Silva doesn't have much of a gas tank, and she is a killer. I mean, like, her nickname is Killer, and she is exactly that. So I think that Silva might get this done in the first round, but if she doesn't, I think Botelho probably gets her out of there in the second or the third round here. I think whoever wins this fight is going to be optimal at these two prices. But Botelho's experience at the UFC level intrigues me. Her striking, I think, should be much better than Silva's. And she's seen a lot of grappling-heavy game plans. So I think, like I say, if she just survives that first round, she's going to be in good shape here. And I think she's great at 8,000.
Yep, 100% there. Gordo, who are you liking for a dart throw?
My dart throw is going to be Benoit Saint-Denis this week, and purely due to ownership. I think a lot of people are remembering him getting his face caved in and nothing happening about it, and they're looking at Stolte as a potential live underdog. I see Justin's talking about it there as well, but I do think that he definitely has a path to victory to score very, very well. Stolte's takedown defense is pretty bad. And it's one of these things where Saint-Denis, although we only have a small sample size of him in the UFC, of him just getting absolutely destroyed, this is a very, very large step down from Lizu Deleski dos Santos, right? So I do like him here, 8.5K. He's sandwiched in between Gravely and Volkov and Menifield. I mean, I don't think too many people are going to get to him. The ownership on this one is the big one that I'm liking because I don't think he's going to be that high. And if he does win, it usually probably involves a bunch of takedowns. And I don't know, maybe even a submission in there as well. So I'm liking him to go here. It's a little bit of a dart throw, and we'll see how it turns out for me.
Sounds good. I like it. Monk, who are you liking for a dart throw this week?
I'm going to go Zhalgas Zhumagulov here, going against what has to be one of the higher-owned fighters of this card against Jeff Molina. Zhumagulov, no matter what his ownership is, I'll be 10+% above it. Just because I think, like someone mentioned, this is definitely, a big step up for Molina over his past few fights. I mean, he's going against Daniel Da Silva and Aorichi Lang, so obviously this is a pretty good step up. Zhumagulov scoring 0.5 points a minute in takedowns and control time. Meanwhile, Molina allowing just under 1 point a minute in takedowns and control time himself. He's allowing 3.79 points a minute. He has no losses in this early into his UFC career, but if he did, you would assume that those numbers, per loss would be pretty high. Is my assumption here. So if Zhumagulov can pull something off here, I know he's 1-3 in the UFC, really needing a win after that Manel Cop first round knockout. I just think he has the takedown possibility to get it done here. And as out of the guys that are in this price range, I actually like Zhumagulov the best. So I think you're getting, a double whammy here by giving him as a dart throw. I'm obviously think Molina's going to win the fight more times than he doesn't, but I mean, Zhumagulov is too tough of a test for him to be only $7,200. So that's where I see all of the value there.
Sounds good, and I like it. I think it's be very low owned this week. So what we will do now is we're going to take a look at how we did last week. If I can find it, I found it. So as a reminder, guys, we do this every week. We're going to go over how we did last week. If you guys have any questions in the chat, make sure you put them now. We'll get to them in a second. But last week, 2 weeks ago at this point, in last place was Monk. He had Jailton Almeida, 113.87, Young Park, 78.53, Michelle Pereira, 74.03, Poliana Viana, 32.67, Euros Medic, 108.86, and then Dusko Todorovic with 18.59, scoring 426.55. In third place was Gordo with Jailton Almeida, 113.87, Chidi Njokwani, 108.10, Omar Morales, 13.2, Tabitha Ricci, 93.13, Chase Hooper with 142.72, and then Alan Ibadovsky with 0.4, totaling 471.42. In second place, me with Jailton Almeida, 113.87, Holly Holmes, 74.89, Chidi Njokwani, 108.10, Tabitha Ricci, 93.13, Eric Anders, 51.55, and then Ketlin Vieira with 78.92, and then Weezy in first place by a mile here. Jailton Almeida, 113.87. Joseph Holmes, 112.03. Chidi Njokwani, 108.10. Tabitha Ricci, 93.13. Chase Hooper, 142.72. And then Eric Anders with 51.55. And honestly, you could have scored 30 more there because Eric Anders, potentially won that fight. So Weezy, what a lineup.
Yeah, that was a really good lineup. I was kind of blown away. I was in one other tournament with that lineup. It was just not a tournament. It was just against one other person, and the guy beat me. he had Vieira instead of Anders, and had the rest of my lineup. So I mean, it was like I wasn't thinking that I won this week because of that, but there were so many high scoring fighters on that card, and a lot of the ones that did kind of come through were the ones that were supposed to, the higher priced fighters. And Chase Hooper, my God, what a performance against Kolaris. That was a real eye opener. It was good to see Chase get it done. So glad to kind of like fine wine. I've been in the cellar all year. So it's good to get, a good first place finish and do it by a good margin there. Get back in the game here a little bit.
Yep. Speaking of the cellar, as we know, there's a punishment at the end of the year. And that punishment, it could be a multitude of things. Weezy, anything that sticks out as far as a punishment?
Yeah, you were saying like last it was that you have to get out of Parker Porter mounting you.
I have a ton on here. Like loser has to get a Kyle Bahayo neck tattoo, #free spirit. Loser has to escape out of full mount against Parker Porter. Loser has to rewatch Felice, Herrig, Karolina, Kowalkiewicz for 20 hours straight. Like loser has to change their legal name to Blood Diamond. I'm just going to keep these all year, and I guess we'll just vote. We'll vote on Twitter or something for the punishment. But all these are terrible. I would hate to do any of these.
There's no way I'm getting the neck tattoo. I would look so bad with that.
Patty Pimblett haircut, Children of the Dam. I mean, there's so many opportunities, but we'll take a look at these standings, and we have in fourth place, we have a Monk with 7,050.86. In third place is Weezy, 7,137.87. And second place is B with 7,339.04. And then in first place is Gordo with 8,091.75. As you know, Gordo did get on the show 2 weeks ago, and we're taking his Ironman scores, right, Gordo?
Yep, those are all tracked, so we're all good. No cheating.
Yeah, they are tracked, and he's killing. Are you for?
He's not pulling an Askar Mozharov on us. That's very important.
Yeah,
Gordo has integrity. All right.
Oh yeah, are you like first in the Ironman? Because my goodness.
Yeah, I got a few points on the person behind me.
Wow. Hey,
so hopefully it doesn't end now, but.
Oh, I don't know. So we have a lot of catching up to do. It looks like I'm 752 points behind Gordo. Weezy's 953 behind Gordo. And then Monk is 1,040 behind Gordo. So we definitely have a lot of catching up to do. But congrats, Gordo. You are in first place through 17 cards.
Man.
Good job. All right. Oh, no. Loser has to watch Rose do nothing again. Oh, that'd be terrible. That'd be terrible.
That's enough. Just to have to watch that fight once. Not even for 24 hours straight. Just once.
Losers got to call up Sherdog and make them change their fights.
The loser has to call up Sherdog and get 9 more wins on Mozharov's record.
I wonder what his record really is. Like, it's just going to keep changing throughout the years. Like, what if he's like 1-30?
Oh,
it could happen.
He's record fluid, guys. Come on.
Goodness, never seen anything like it. But we'll give our quick picks and then head out of here. I don't think I missed anything. Let me double check. Yeah, it's quick picks.
We'll get our lineups in. Yeah,
we got your lineups.
Our lineups for this week. Okay, so I'll start it off. So give me, and this is potentially going to, Weezy start first, actually.
Okay, yeah. I'll go from most expensive to least expensive. I'm going with Movsar Evloev, Rinat Fakhretdinov, Alonzo Minifield, Johnny Munoz Jr., Biggie Boy Rozenstruik, and Lucas Almeida.
Okay, for me, this is going to probably change the Damon Jackson, but for now, I'm going to go with Blanchfield. I'm going to go with Fakhretdinov, Alonzo Minifield, Zagasu Magulov, Karine Silva, and Lucas Almeida. Gordo, do you have your lineup for this week?
Yes, I do. And again, if Jackson comes out with a weird salary, I'll probably change that as well. But for right now, we're going to take Evloev, Menifield, Osborne, Munoz, Zumagulov, and Botelho.
Sounds good. And then Monk, how about you?
So far, I'm taking Damon Jackson. If he's at 9,500, Movsar Evloev, Menifield, Tony Gravely, Lucas Almeida, JJ Aldrich.
Okay. And then we will give our quick picks. And what is it saying in the chat here? Loser has to fight Jailton Almeida with Kissev as the referee. My goodness, that sounds. That's probably the worst.
We won't be back for next year.
Yeah, put us for sure.
We'll have to find another replacement. Yeah, for sure. So we'll do a quick picks and head out of here, guys. I'll start with the main event. Give me Alexander Volkov. Give me Movsar Evloev. Give me, I'm going to go Michael Trizano, but I think that fight's so close. Give me Karine Silva, Alonzo Minifield to shave ass, Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Give me Alex De Silva, Oday Osborne, Damon Jackson, Nicholas Stolte, Johnny Munoz Jr., Jeff Molina, Rinat Fakhretdinov, and then Aaron Blanchfield. Weezy, you have a quick picks for this week?
For sure. I'm going with Biggie Boy Rozenstruik, Evloev. I'll pick the upset with Lucas Almeida here. Poliana Botelho, Oday Osborne, Alonzo Minifield is Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. I guess Felice Herrig, but I have no idea, no confidence. I'll go with Selecki. I think he wins the second and the third. Damon Jackson, Nicholas Stoltze, Munoz Jr., Molina, Fakhretdinov, and Cold Blooded.
Sounds good. Gordo, do you have your quick picks for this week?
Yep, I'm going to take Volkov in the main, Evloev, Trizano, Botelho, Osborne, Menifield, Kowalkiewicz, Selecki, Jackson, Saint-Denis, Munoz Jr. This is the one at 50-50. I guess I'll go Molina. Actually, no, scratch that. We'll stick with the dog. We'll take Zalgas to pull the Twitter upset. Fakhretdinov and Blanchfield.
Sounds good. And then Monk, how about you?
Let's see. Peter Monk's picking and no correct order anyways. Damon Jackson, Johnny Munoz Jr., Joe Selecki, Benoit Saint-Denis, Aaron Blanchfield, Andreas Michailidis, just because we have no stats for Fakhretdinov, Oday Osborne, Jeff Molina, Felice Herrig, Alonzo Minifield, Michael Trizano, Poliana Botelho, Movsar Evloev, and Alexander Volkov.
Yeah, don't sleep on Computer Monk. He predicted the what was that one crazy upset a month ago?
It was the Dean Barry, Mike Jackson.
Mike
No way.
He's been on fire. He's been on fire lately with the underdog picks. Picking who do we get? Uros Medic. We got Chase Hooper last week. Got a couple of them. So yeah, check it out.
Sounds good. All right, guys. Thank you all for hanging out. If you guys can leave a like on your way out, we'll kick it to Weezy. Weezy, what you got going on tonight and throughout the rest of the week?
Yeah, tonight I'm going to go live 10:30 Central Time for Ask Weezy on the Uncle Weezy YouTube channel. I'll be doing a balls deep breakdown at some point on the MMA Engine YouTube channel. I just don't know when I'm going to do it. I'll probably do Ige Evloev or maybe another fight. I don't know yet, but you can check me out on Pub Sports Radio every Wednesday for the DFS show, every Sunday for Stat Diggers, every Saturday for the Watch Along. You can find me on the MMA Engine YouTube channel tomorrow night with DFS by the numbers for probability, 7:15 Central Time. And like I said, on my channel, 10:30 tonight for Ask Weezy. If you have any questions about this card, you want to look at the database, you want to look at the prop template, you want to look at the matchup stats, ask me and we'll just shoot the shit in there. So have a good time, everybody. Let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC Vegas 56 and bathe in the blood of our vanquished Draftkings enemies.
Let's do it. Gordo, where can they find you? What do you have going on throughout the week?
Yeah, of course. I got my live streams every Friday on the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. I threw it in the chat. I answered back to Justin there. But no, I also got my DFS video being updated, so maybe I'll go hang out in Uncle Weezy's chat while I edit that video. And then I also post videos and content for current MMA. And other than that, everything you can find me on is on Twitter, @GamblesGordo. And other than that, good luck to all you guys this weekend. Or yeah, let's make some money, guys. Early card, so hopefully we got enough to enjoy our night there.
Yep, very, very early there. And then last but not least, we have Monk. Monk, where can they find you? And I saw you posted a lot of content today. Let them know where they can find it.
Yes, sir. You can check me out over on Twitter @MonkMatic, spelled just like it is below my head. Other than that, my YouTube channel, I put out a game theory video breaking down all 14 fights from a DFS perspective. Less than, I think, 50 minutes at this point, so we cruising through it. I also put out on the MMA Engine channel. Get on over there and check that out. Salary Voodoo, where we break down 3 fights from a different kind of lineup construction angle. And then a quick short just putting out my picks that I just gave you actually on this very Pub Sports Radio channel, CM Monk's picks, just a quick little minute video on there. So a few more things coming down the pipeline this week before Saturday. So yeah, everybody enjoy the fights, and I know I'm going to.
Sounds good for sure. Cannot wait for some Felice Herrig, Karolina, Kowalkiewicz. But you can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by numbers. You can find me here on Pub Sports Radio Sundays and Wednesdays. And then on the MMA Engine, I'll be going live with Weezy tomorrow for probability, and then Friday for my live stream as well after the weigh-ins. And yeah, that's about it, guys. Leave a like on your way out, subscribe, all the good stuff. We'll talk to you very soon, and good luck for you.